Chosen one, listen closely. Heaven has stopped everything around you just for this moment. You are not here by accident. You were led to these words because heaven has seen the weight you carried, the tears you hid, and the prayers you whispered when no one else was listening. You have come through fire and shadow, and now heaven itself is whispering congratulations. You have overcome, and you will never face that again. There was a time you thought the pain would never end, that the same cycle of heartbreak, loss, and confusion would keep spinning endlessly. You began to wonder if deliverance was even meant for you. But heaven saw it all. The sleepless nights, the silent cries, the moments you wanted to give up but didn't. Every second of your endurance was recorded. And today, heaven declares the season has shifted. You are standing at the threshold of newness. This is not another motivational message. This is divine confirmation. The pain you endured was not wasted. It was proof of your endurance, your faith, and your calling. You have been refined by the fire of trials, and you emerged shining, not scorched. You are not who you were before. The struggle changed your name in heaven's register. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you, I knew you before your birth. I called you and set you apart for me. These words are not poetry, they are prophecy. You were known before you were born, seen before you took your first breath. Every valley you walked through, every betrayal you survived, every tear that fell, heaven counted them and used them as material to build your strength. Do you understand what that means? Chosen one. It means that your journey has never been random. Even when you walked through shadows, you were walking under supervision. Even when the pain seemed unbearable, heaven's hand was guiding your steps. Every broken piece of your past was part of a divine mosaic, and today, the picture is revealed. Your victory is not quiet. It resounds in heaven's courts. Angels whisper your name in awe because you did not collapse under the pressure designed to destroy you. You remained standing when others walked away. You still worshipped when your heart was bleeding. You still believed when everything seemed lost. And now, heaven is saying, enough. The suffering chapter is closed. There are no retakes of the same pain. You will not face that betrayal again. You will not return to that place of fear or lack. The doors that led you there have been sealed by divine hands. What once broke you can no longer touch you. You are stepping into a realm of peace where your mind no longer replays the trauma but celebrates the testimony. You might still feel the echoes of what was the faint sting of memory, but even that will fade. Your heart will not grieve the same wound twice. The lessons remain, but the pain dissolves. Heaven has declared finality. The same way the stone rolled away from the tomb, the weight that held you down has been removed. You are walking free. This is not just recovery, this is resurrection. You are walking proof that death cannot hold what God has anointed. The pain was your burial, but the comeback is your rising. You didn't just survive, you were reborn into purpose. You are now a vessel of divine light, an example of endurance, a sign to those who are still fighting their storms. Now, lift your head, feel the shift. You are no longer under the same sky of sorrow. The storm has passed. The clouds have parted, and sunlight rests upon your soul. Heaven has declared completion over your past. What was meant to break you has become your building stone. You have proven that faith is stronger than fear, that surrender is not defeat but alignment. Chosen one. The next steps you take are sacred. Walk forward, knowing you are covered. Every move now carries divine favor. The same places where you were once mocked, you will now be honored. The same people who overlooked you will soon testify that you were chosen all along. Your life itself will preach the faithfulness of God without you saying a word. And as you receive this word, let gratitude fill you. Heaven is smiling upon you. The chapter of survival is over. The chapter of thriving begins now. You are not the victim of your story. You are the evidence of God's victory. Take a deep breath. This is the moment you rise, crowned with unseen glory. You will never face that again. If these words touch your spirit, pause and declare your agreement publicly. Like this message, share it forward, so another weary soul may find hope. Subscribe if you haven't yet, so that every word heaven releases finds you in time. Then, as a prophetic act, comment below the number 777, heaven's number of divine completion, to declare, it is finished. You have passed the test. Chosen one. The heavens have seen the weight you carried without complaint. The quiet prayers whispered when no one saw your tears. Every trial you faced was not meant to destroy you, but to refine what was buried deep within. You were tested, stretched, and pressed on every side. Yet you did not break. That endurance was not weakness, it was strength hidden beneath your pain. There were seasons when you felt abandoned. When the silence of heaven seemed unbearable, you wondered why the answers took so long, why the breakthrough delayed, why your prayers seemed to vanish into the air. But through every moment of uncertainty, heaven was measuring your heart. You were being purified in the invisible fires of divine purpose. What you mistook for punishment was preparation. Every sleepless night was a lesson in faith. Every closed door was an invitation to trust. Every betrayal revealed your capacity to forgive. These were not random afflictions, they were divine classroom moments, designed to graduate you into wisdom. Heaven was shaping a warrior out of your wounds, a vessel capable of carrying revelation without pride, an instrument that could bear glory without collapsing under its weight. The Spirit reminds us through the writings of Job, chapter 23, verse 10, He knows my path. When He tests me, I will emerge refined as gold, shining with His purpose. You have lived this scripture in real time. Your life became the furnace, your patience the fire, and your endurance the refining process. You were not being punished, you were being purified. When others walked away, heaven watched how you stood. When false accusations rose, heaven observed how you responded. Every time you chose mercy instead of revenge, love instead of bitterness, faith instead of despair, you were passing the test. The exam was not about knowledge, but about character. Heaven was not looking for perfection, but for purity. And now, the results are in. The test is over. The verdict is declared. You have passed. You have been found faithful, resilient, and true. There is a new strength in you that cannot be taken, because it was built in darkness, watered by tears, and sealed by divine grace. You are not fragile anymore. You are forged. The days of questioning your worth are gone. The fire that once terrified you has become your ally. It no longer burns you, it now illuminates you. What you've been through has equipped you to stand in authority. to discern truth from deception, to walk in peace while others panic. This is what the test was about, to awaken the giant within you. Many never make it through this process. Some curse the refining and run from the fire. But you didn't. You stayed. Even when it hurt. You trusted. Even when you couldn't trace God's hand. You believed when logic screamed otherwise. That is why you are being rewarded now, not just with blessings, but with divine credibility. Heaven knows your name, because you proved faithful when it was hardest to believe. The beauty of the test is that it wasn't meant to expose your weakness, it was meant to reveal your hidden strength. Heaven already knew what you were capable of. It was you who needed to see it. You've discovered a version of yourself you didn't know existed, calm under pressure, courageous in silence, relentless in faith. The test didn't define you, it revealed you. And now, because you passed, heaven entrusts you with more. Greater doors will open, not because of who you are, but because of what you endured. The testing season qualified you for things you once prayed for, but weren't ready to carry. Your new authority comes from the furnace, your wisdom from the pain. You speak differently now. You walk differently now. There's a stillness in your spirit that cannot be shaken. Do you feel it, the shift, that quiet confidence that whispers, "I made it"? That peace that tells you the war within has ended. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone. The scars on your soul are no longer signs of loss, they are medals of victory. You are living proof that endurance leads to elevation. Chosen one, this is your moment to rest in divine assurance. The test has concluded. The pressure is lifting. You are entering a season where peace replaces struggle, where clarity replaces confusion, where favor follows your faith. The heavens smile upon you, not because you were perfect, but because you remained faithful. And remember this truth, the same God who tested you in the fire is now crowning you with grace. The same eyes that watched your struggle now watch your rise. You have come forth as gold refined, radiant, and ready for the destiny that awaits you. The trial was the teacher, and you were its finest student. You have passed the test, chosen one, and from this day forward, you will never be the same again. The cycle is over. Chosen one, what once kept repeating the heartbreaks, the delays, the same painful patterns that made you wonder if you were cursed, has been broken. The chain that held you bound for years has finally snapped under heaven's decree. You will not go in circles anymore. The lessons have been learned, the tests completed, and the doors of endless repetition are now sealed. There were moments you cried, "Not again, Lord, not this same pain." You saw the same faces betray you, the same situations rise again, the same emotions return like uninvited guests. You began to think something was wrong with you, but heaven was allowing these cycles to surface, not to torment you, but to reveal what still needed healing. Every repeated situation was a mirror, showing you what you had to conquer inside before victory could manifest outside. And now, heaven speaks clearly, it is finished. The ground has shifted beneath your feet. The cycle that once defined your journey has no authority anymore. This time, the ending is real. There is no going back to what once was. No repetition of old wounds. The old system of pain has expired. You are now walking in a timeline where breakthrough flows without blockage. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? These are not words of comfort, they are words of creation. God Himself is announcing that something new is forming within you and around you. The old ways no longer have the right to return. The door to the past has been locked by divine hands. Think back to how many times you tried to fix the same problems with the same tools. Every time you circled that mountain of disappointment, heaven was waiting for you to recognize your authority. You were never meant to walk in loops, you were meant to ascend. Every rotation brought revelation, and now the revelation has set you free. You are no longer a victim of your past patterns, you are the architect of your new season. Cycles end when lessons are learned, and you, chosen one, have learned well. You've learned to recognize red flags that once deceived you. You've learned to discern manipulation that once blinded you. You've learned that not everyone who claps for you is truly celebrating you. And most importantly, you've learned that obedience breaks cycles faster than willpower. Now, watch as things shift effortlessly. Where there was confusion, there will be clarity. Where there was loss, there will be multiplication. Where there was delay, there will be acceleration. You will begin to notice patterns of blessing instead of patterns of pain. The atmosphere around you has been recoded with victory. You will no longer meet the same kind of disappointment because your vibration has changed. Even relationships will shift. The people who once drained your spirit will lose access to your presence. The places where your peace was robbed will no longer hold appeal. This is what divine growth looks like. Heaven moves you out of old alignments into new territories of joy. You have evolved, and what is beneath you can no longer hold you captive. You are stepping into divine freshness. Your mind is being renewed daily. Your emotions are being restored, and your heart is learning to trust again, but this time wisely. You no longer react from old pain. You respond from new peace. The enemy can no longer use your past to control your present. You have become untouchable to the tactics that once worked against you. And though it may feel strange at first, this stillness, this peace, this lack of chaos, embrace it. You are not waiting for something bad to happen anymore. You are not bracing for the next blow. The silence is not a setup, it's a sign of stability. Heaven has anchored you. The storms have ended, and you can finally breathe without fear. Chosen one. Remember this, what used to repeat will now retreat. You will not revisit that pain again. Not because you are lucky, but because you are delivered. Deliverance is not a one-time moment, it is a permanent shift. And you have crossed that line. You are free indeed. Let this truth settle deep within you. Cycles end when heaven says, enough. And heaven has spoken. The days of spiritual déjà vu are over. You will not have to relive what you already survived. The story is moving forward. And so are you. Now, I want you to affirm this in your spirit. As a prophetic declaration, type, I'm moving forward in the comments. Not as a ritual, but as an act of agreement. When you write those words, you are sealing your deliverance in faith. You are proclaiming to every force that once bound you that you have advanced beyond their reach. Let your comment be a decree that the cycle has ended, and that your destiny moves in one direction only, forward. The battle that marked you was never meant to break you. Chosen one. It was designed to crown you with unseen strength. What you endured was not ordinary suffering, it was divine conditioning. The very struggle that once brought you to your knees has now equipped you to stand taller than ever. Every scar on your soul has become a seal of authority in the spiritual realm. You have been marked not with shame, but with glory. You see, not everyone survives the kind of battle you did. Many lost themselves along the way, but you remained anchored. Even when your faith trembled, you didn't know it then, but heaven was training your spirit to carry weight others could not. What you thought was punishment was preparation. Every wound became wisdom. Every tear became oil. Every loss became a lesson that now fuels your discernment. There was a time you wondered, why me? You looked at others who seemed untouched, while your life felt like a constant battlefield. But what you didn't see was that heaven had chosen you for higher ground. Ordinary soldiers are not tested like commanders. Those destined to lead must first learn how to fight in the dark. And you, chosen one, fought with faith as your only weapon. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 34, verse 17, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. You cried out in your own wilderness, and though you couldn't hear an answer at first, heaven was already moving on your behalf. Every whisper from your weary heart reached the throne. Every silent plea became an echo in heaven's courts. Your battle was not wasted. It stripped away illusion, pride, and dependence on what could not save you. It taught you to hear God's voice above the noise. It taught you that power isn't in appearance, but in surrender. You learned how to fight without bitterness, how to walk through fire without letting it define you. The marks you carry are not reminders of defeat, they are reminders that you were chosen for resilience. Even now, heaven calls you tested and trusted. You have walked through what would have destroyed others and emerged carrying revelation. You now understand that victory isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like peace after chaos. Sometimes it looks like waking up and realizing you no longer flinch at old wounds. The pain that once haunted you no longer has authority because it served its purpose. It built you. The truth is, chosen one, you were forged for this era. Every dark night of the soul has given you a depth that shallow waters can't imitate. People might see your calm and think it came easily, but heaven knows the warfare that preceded it. You carry authority because you've wrestled with God and with pain, and you've come out blessed, not bitter. You are no longer the person who entered the battlefield. You are the refined version, carrying divine strategy and quiet confidence. Think of how you've changed. You no longer panic when storms come, you discern their purpose. You no longer fear rejection, you recognize redirection. You no longer chase what doesn't align, you wait for divine timing. This is what battle maturity looks like. It's not about having fewer wounds, but about understanding their worth. The enemy thought the battle would make you retreat, but instead it made you unshakable. You now know that pain is temporary, but purpose is eternal. Every time you thought it was over, heaven whispered, "Not yet," because you were being molded into a warrior who would one day lead others out of their own darkness. Your scars are sacred. They are not to be hidden, but honored. They are proof that God's grace is greater than the deepest wound. Each one carries a story, a lesson, a revelation. When people look at you now, they see strength, but heaven sees testimony. You are living evidence that endurance is never wasted. There is something remarkable about those who have been marked by battle. They carry a quiet authority that cannot be faked. You don't need to shout your faith anymore. It radiates from your presence. You've learned the language of silence, the power of stillness, the authority of peace. The greatest warriors rarely look like they're fighting because their strength is spiritual, not physical. This is your reality now. You have transitioned from victim to victor, from fighter to overcomer, from the wounded to the healer. The same fire that once threatened to consume you now burns within you as divine passion. You carry the aroma of victory. And every dark force that once recognized your weakness now trembles at your strength. Chosen one. Your battle did not just mark you, it qualified you. Heaven trusts you with deeper assignments because you have proven that your faith stands even in the storm. You are no longer defined by the pain, but by the power that emerged from it. You wear your scars like medals of honor, silent witnesses of grace. The fight may have been long, but the reward is eternal. You were never fighting alone. Chosen one, not for a single moment. Even when the nights were long and silence wrapped around your prayers, heaven was closer than your own breath. Every tear that fell from your eyes became a battle cry in the invisible realm. While you wrestled in the dark, an army of light stood beside you, unseen but unwavering. You thought you were abandoned, but you were surrounded. You thought your prayers vanished into empty air, but they were being caught by angelic hands. The moments when you felt weakest were actually the moments when heaven's defense was strongest. The battle you faced on earth was mirrored in heaven, and victory was being written long before you saw the outcome. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. You didn't realize it then, but every time you chose peace over panic, you activated this promise. Stillness was not weakness, it was strategy. Silence was not surrender, it was power. The battle didn't need your fists, it needed your faith. You fought battles that no one else saw. People assumed you were fine, but only heaven knew how close you came to collapse. Yet even then, angels stood watch at your side. There were moments when you didn't have words to pray, but heaven understood the language of your sighs. Every breath of endurance became a declaration of faith. You were held together by hands not your own. You may wonder now, why didn't God just remove the battle? Because he wanted you to see who fought beside you. The struggle was the stage for divine partnership. If everything came easily, you would have never known how mighty your defender truly is. The warfare revealed the companionship of heaven. You were not merely surviving, you were co-laboring with divine strength. Every step you took in weakness was multiplied by grace. Every whisper of "I can't" was answered with "You can," through me. Every time you reached your limit, heaven extended your capacity. What looked like loneliness was actually sacred training in trust. The silence wasn't absence, it was God teaching you to discern his whisper beyond the noise. There were nights you collapsed in exhaustion, not knowing that heaven's angels were ministering to your weary soul. There were mornings when you woke up not knowing how you'd make it through the day, but strength came anyway. Unexplainable and timely. That was heaven's provision. That was the proof that the invisible is more real than the visible. And now, chosen one, you see the truth. You were never the only one fighting. The presence that walked with you through the fire, that lifted you when you sank in the waters of despair, that was God. The battle was never yours alone. It belonged to the one who commands storms and silences lions. If you close your eyes right now, you can almost feel it, the warmth of that divine protection still wrapped around you. You are not abandoned, you are accompanied. The scars you carry are not signs of defeat but reminders of how fiercely heaven fought for you. Think of your journey like a field after rain. The soil looks torn, the ground unsettled, but underneath, new seeds are awakening. Your battles plowed your heart so that new faith could grow. That's what pain did. It tilled your soul until it was ready to bloom again. And now, you stand in the sunrise of peace. The storm that raged around you has passed, and you can finally see the beauty that was being built in the chaos. You are stronger not because you fought alone, but because you learned to trust your commander. Chosen one, if this word resonates with the chambers of your heart, take a moment to breathe and be grateful. Let gratitude be your offering. Let your thankfulness rise like incense to heaven, not out of obligation but out of awe, because you now see the full picture. You were never forsaken. If you wish to support this sacred work, these words that travel like living seeds to others still fighting, then do so as an act of faith. When you like, when you share, when you subscribe, you become part of the divine chain that spreads light into the shadows. You turn your gratitude into action. You extend the same comfort that once reached you. And if your heart feels stirred to give, to sow into this ministry that carries heaven's messages across borders and screens, do it not out of pressure, but from love. Your giving becomes a torch in another's darkness, a whisper of hope in a stranger's night. Every offering, every act of kindness, fuels the mission to awaken more chosen ones like you. Your story, your victory, your generosity, they all sing one song that none of us fight alone. Heaven stands with us, and through us, heaven reaches others. You were never fighting alone, and you never will be again. The closing of old doors is not a punishment. Chosen one, it is divine protection. When heaven shuts something, it is not rejection, it is redirection. The doors that once led you into confusion, heartbreak, or compromise are now sealed, not because you failed, but because you have graduated. What used to tempt you no longer fits your spirit. The past can knock, but it can no longer enter. You may have noticed it already. Certain conversations no longer excite you. Certain people no longer understand you. Certain dreams no longer pull at your heart. That is not loss, that is transformation. Heaven is disconnecting you from expired seasons. The things that used to comfort you now feel too small because your spirit has outgrown them. When grace lifts, you cannot stay. At first, this closing can feel painful. We humans grieve what we've known, even if what we've known hurt us. But in the spiritual realm, closure is not the end, it's the turning of a page. You are being moved into a new chapter, one where peace replaces chaos and purpose replaces wandering. What was once familiar will fade, and what was once hidden will now unfold. Heaven speaks clearly through the revelation recorded in the book of Revelation. Chapter 3, verse 7, what he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. This verse is not a statement, it's a decree. It means that every closed door in your life carries divine fingerprints. The opportunities that no longer call you were closed by heaven's hand, so that you would not waste another moment trying to force what no longer serves your destiny. Think of your life like a grand hallway. Each door represents a phase, a lesson, a chapter. Some led to growth, others led to heartbreak, but all led to transformation. And now, Heaven has turned the key on certain doors for good. You might stand there for a moment, staring at what was, feeling the ache of goodbye, but behind you, another door is already swinging open. This is how God works. He removes what's comfortable to make room for what's divine. He closes doors not because he wants to limit you, but because he's preparing to expand you. The closure is confirmation that promotion is near. You are not being locked out, you are being ushered forward. Do not fear the silence that follows the closing. It's the quiet that comes before new instructions. You are being repositioned. Like a chess piece moved strategically by a master, you may not understand the move right now, but soon you'll see the plan. The spaces that once seemed empty will fill with divine purpose. The doors that shut will echo with gratitude once you realize what they protected you from. Chosen one, learn to bless the closed doors. Thank heaven for the friendships that ended, the jobs that didn't work out, the plans that fell apart. Each was a door that could have delayed your destiny. You prayed for peace, and God answered by removing access to what kept you restless. Sometimes deliverance comes disguised as loss. The truth is, closed doors are signs of love. God loves you too much to let you settle in rooms where your light would dim. You were made for expansion, for glory, for impact. So, when one season ends, don't mourn it, honor it, and walk away with wisdom. Every closed door holds a thank you hidden inside, a mercy you'll only recognize later. Let this revelation sink in. If heaven closed it, you don't need it. If it ended, it wasn't eternal. If it faded, it wasn't part of your forever. Stop revisiting what God has released. The chapter has been written, the page has turned. You are stepping into a story that will not repeat the pain of the last one. Even now, new doors are forming before your eyes, doors of peace, doors of abundance, doors of joy that does not fade. You are entering spaces where your soul can finally rest, where you no longer have to shrink to fit in, where you can breathe without fear of betrayal. This is the beauty of divine closure. It leads to divine expansion. So, as you stand at the threshold between old and new, take a deep breath. Let go of the keys to what no longer belongs to you. You don't need to force anything open anymore. What is meant for you will unlock easily, naturally, gracefully. Now, if this truth resonates deep in your spirit, seal it with a prophetic act. Type 444 inches the comments below, a symbol of divine order and alignment. It means you trust heaven's timing. You release the old, and you're ready for the doors that only God can open. Let your comment be your covenant that from this moment forward, you will not chase what is closed, and you will not mourn what is finished. The right doors are already opening, and you are walking into them with confidence. The awakening of the new you has already begun. Chosen one, you may not have noticed it in a single moment of lightning revelation, but piece by piece, day by day, heaven has been reshaping you from the inside out. The person you once were, the one who constantly doubted, feared, apologized for existing, is no longer here. Something within you has shifted permanently. What broke you before no longer has the same power. What tempted you before no longer has the same pull. The old you has fallen asleep, and the new you has risen in strength. There comes a time in every divine journey when identity must evolve. You cannot carry an old mindset into a new destiny. You cannot wear yesterday's armor into tomorrow's battle. The awakening does not happen in noise and fireworks. It happens in quiet surrender. It happens when your heart finally says, "Enough," and heaven whispers, "Now." This transformation is subtle but undeniable. You felt it, the calm that settles where anxiety once lived, the peace that holds you where chaos once ruled. That is the sound of resurrection. In the sacred writings of the Apostle Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17, it is declared, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here." This is more than a verse, it is a mirror reflecting your current reality. You are walking proof that renewal is possible. The pain you endured wasn't meant to destroy you, it was meant to birth you. Heaven has rewritten your identity in its eternal registry. Look back for a moment, not to mourn, but to measure. The things that once drained you now seem so far away. The voices that once dictated your worth have gone silent. The desires that once distracted you have lost their shine. It's not that the world changed, it's that you did. Heaven performed surgery on your soul and removed what no longer served your purpose. You may not fully recognize yourself yet, but that's because the new you hasn't settled into full visibility. The transformation is still unfolding. You are learning how to think, feel, and speak from a higher frequency. You are remembering who you truly were before the world wounded you, before disappointment clouded your vision. You are returning to your divine blueprint. It feels different, doesn't it? The way you respond to conflict, the way your spirit senses when something doesn't align, the way you no longer rush to fix what isn't yours to fix. That's spiritual maturity. That's the fruit of awakening. You are no longer reacting to life, you are directing it. You move with intention now, guided by a stillness that cannot be faked. Heaven is unveiling layers of your identity that were hidden beneath pain. You're discovering gifts that were buried in fear, wisdom that was born through endurance, courage that rose from heartbreak. The same way dawn slowly overcomes night, your divine self is emerging from the shadows. This awakening is not about perfection, it's about alignment. You are aligning with who you were always meant to be. The new you doesn't chase validation, it walks in assurance. The new you doesn't compete, it creates. The new you doesn't cling to what's fading, it flows with what's eternal. You have stepped into a realm of grace where your very presence carries healing, where your words bring calm, where your faith draws miracles. This is the awakening heaven prepared for. All those years of struggle were seeds for this moment. Every closed door, every silent prayer, every loss, they all pointed to this rebirth. You were being stripped of what was temporary so you could embody what is timeless. Understand, this transformation is not about becoming someone new, but remembering who you were before life tried to rewrite your story. The divine imprint was always there, waiting for you to wake up and see it. That's why this feels familiar, because your spirit recognizes this version of you. You are finally walking in your true form. And though the world around you might not understand, that's all right. Some will say you've changed. They're right. You've awakened. You've outgrown what kept you asleep. You've discovered the sound of your own spirit, and it doesn't echo in shallow places anymore. You've chosen truth over comfort, growth over familiarity, calling over convenience. That's the mark of a chosen one reborn. So, walk boldly now. You don't need to prove this awakening, just live it. Let your peace preach louder than your explanations. Let your gentleness speak of your strength. Let your silence reveal your discernment. Heaven has crowned you in unseen light. And everywhere you go, that light testifies this one has awakened. You are not who you were, and you will never be that person again. The old has gone. The new has arrived. And the world has yet to see the full glory of what you're becoming. You are now untouchable. Chosen one. Not because you are distant or hardened, but because heaven has built a fortress around your peace. The same hands that once lifted you out of despair have now encircled you with protection. The storms that once drowned you now crash harmlessly at your feet. You are not immune to life, you are simply covered by grace. What used to break you cannot find its way to you anymore. There was a time when every word spoken against you wounded deeply, when betrayal felt like a dagger to the soul, when rejection seemed to echo louder than promise. But that was before heaven fortified your heart. That was before divine armor was placed upon your spirit. The old sensitivity born from pain has transformed into holy discernment. You no longer absorb the darkness around you, you reflect it back as light. It is written in the scroll of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." These are not empty words of comfort, they are eternal law. They mean that nothing created in darkness can overthrow what was sealed in light. The weapons may form, but they will fail. The attacks may rise, but they will recoil. Every scheme against you is already rendered powerless by the decree of heaven. You are living in a realm of divine immunity. That does not mean trouble will never appear, but it means trouble can no longer touch your core. You've been strengthened from within, like a tree that bends but never breaks. Your roots now reach deeper than the storm's reach. The enemy's blows now glance off your spirit like arrows against armor. You no longer live in reaction, you live in authority. When you walk into rooms, the atmosphere shifts. You may not see it, but the forces of darkness recognize your name. They remember how they tried to crush you before, and they remember how you rose anyway. You carry the evidence of survival, and that terrifies them. You have become a living testimony, and testimonies carry weight in the unseen. Every time you speak light, something in the spirit realm trembles. Your peace is now a weapon, your silence, an act of warfare, your joy, a declaration of victory. You don't need to fight the way you once did. Heaven fights for you. The war has changed. Now it's fought through stillness, through prayer, through the calm assurance that nothing can separate you from the love that holds you. Look around you. The people who once stirred chaos in your life can no longer access you. The distractions that once consumed your energy no longer have power. The memories that once haunted you have lost their voice. That's what happens when divine protection becomes permanent. You are not being hidden out of fear. You are being preserved for purpose. There's a divine shield around your mind now. The thoughts that once triggered panic no longer control you. Peace flows where anxiety once reigned. That is the sign of true deliverance, not the absence of battle, but the presence of unshakable peace in the midst of it. You have learned to walk through storms with dry feet because you carry an atmosphere of calm. You've also learned the sacred art of detachment. You no longer rush to defend yourself when misunderstood. You no longer explain your calling to those committed to misunderstanding it. You have realized that divine protection often looks like quietness. It's the power to walk away without resentment, to release without bitterness, to trust that what's meant for you will never require you to beg for it. The new boundaries around your spirit are not walls, they are gates. Controlled by discernment, you open to those who bring light, and you close to those who drain it. That's not pride, that's stewardship. You are guarding holy ground now. Not everyone is meant to step where heaven dwells. Understand this truth deeply when God calls you chosen. He also calls you protected. Your destiny cannot be stolen. Your peace cannot be invaded. You are surrounded by the covenant of light. Whatever rises against you rises only to fall. Whatever speaks against you becomes silenced by truth. You walk under divine endorsement, and no counterfeit can touch that seal. So, rest. You no longer need to look over your shoulder. You no longer need to brace for betrayal or fear the next storm. You have already outlasted the worst of it. The darkness that once targeted you has run out of strategies. You are too wise now, too covered, too anchored. Chosen one, you are untouchable not because you fight harder, but because you now understand who fights for you. The covering around you is not temporary, it is eternal. You are wrapped in light, clothed in purpose, guarded by heaven. Nothing formed against you shall ever prosper again. Your light has multiplied. Chosen one, the glow that once flickered in quiet corners now radiates like dawn after the longest night. The pain you endured has not only healed, it has amplified your brightness. Heaven has taken every scar and turned it into a lamp, every broken piece into a prism that reflects divine beauty. You are no longer carrying just your own light. You carry the combined radiance of every moment you refused to give up. There was a time when you dimmed yourself to make others comfortable, when you spoke softly so as not to disturb the fragile peace of those who could not handle your brilliance. You were afraid to be too much, to shine too bright, to take up the space heaven designed for you. But no more. Heaven has called you to rise unapologetically. You are a city set on a hill now, meant to be seen, meant to be a beacon for those still wandering through shadow. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14, "You are the light of the world. A city set upon a hill cannot ever be hidden." This truth has come alive within you. The trials you faced were not meant to bury your light. They were meant to teach you how to carry it safely. You have been through storms that could have extinguished weaker flames, but your fire refused to die. Instead, it grew stronger, steadier, purer. Your light now carries authority. It doesn't flicker in fear. When confronted by darkness, it stands still and radiates. And in your presence, the shadows start to retreat. People will feel something shift around you even before you speak. That's the presence of the divine within you. It's not arrogance, it's anointing. You were not made to blend in with the ordinary. You were made to illuminate the extraordinary. You have become what the world desperately needs, proof that light wins. Not by aggression, but by persistence. You don't argue with darkness, you outshine it. You don't chase validation, you become it. Every time you speak truth with love, every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, every time you walk in peace instead of panic, you emit light. And light never returns void. But remember this: chosen one, greater light attracts greater attention. There will be those who misunderstand it, those who envy it, those who attempt to dim it. Do not waste your time explaining what heaven has already validated. You don't need to justify why you shine, you only need to stay connected to the source. As long as your fire flows from Him, it cannot be quenched. Your radiance will also awaken others. Some will be drawn to it for warmth, others for direction. You are not responsible for how people respond to your glow. You are responsible only for keeping it pure. Do not let bitterness cloud it. Do not let fear smother it. Do not let distractions scatter it. Your light is sacred. It was born of divine endurance, and it must be guarded as treasure. There is also a divine multiplication at work within you. The more you give, the brighter you become. When you speak encouragement, when you comfort the broken, when you pour hope into others, heaven replenishes your flame tenfold. Light shared is never lost. It expands. You are entering a season where everything you release in love will return multiplied in grace. You might notice people coming to you, drawn not by your words, but by your peace. They won't always understand why they feel safe in your presence, but it's because your light carries healing. It's because your frequency now matches heaven's harmony. You have become a living altar, a place where others encounter divine calm. So walk boldly. Chosen one, let your light do what it was made to do. Shine in rooms that forgot what hope looks like. Enter spaces that need warmth. Speak gently, but carry divine fire. The same God who kindled your spark will continue to sustain your flame. You do not burn out, you burn on. And now, to seal this truth in your spirit, take a moment to declare it. Type "I carry light" in the comments below. It may seem simple, but it's not just a phrase, it's a proclamation. When you write those words, you're affirming what heaven already knows, that darkness cannot intimidate you anymore. You are not chasing light, you are light. You are a vessel of divine brilliance, sent to illuminate corners the world forgot. Let your comment be your declaration that you will never again shrink your shine to make others comfortable. You were chosen to glow, to guide, to ignite. Your light has multiplied, and this world will never be the same because of it. The season of overflow has begun. Chosen one, you have walked through famine, through lack, through silence, and now heaven opens its storehouses. The drought is over. The ground that once yielded nothing now bursts with fruit. You have sown in tears, and you will reap in joy. Every seed of obedience, every act of faith, every hidden prayer, none of it was wasted. The time has come for harvest. You are stepping into a realm where blessings no longer trickle, they pour. Not just material provision, but peace that runs deep, joy that overflows, clarity that floods your decisions. Heaven is no longer giving you drops, it's releasing rivers. You once survived on manna, now you will feast on abundance. We are reminded in the songs of David, in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5. My cup overflows with goodness and mercy from the Lord. These words are not a metaphor for luxury, they are a revelation of divine sufficiency. Your cup is no longer half empty or half full, it's running over, spilling blessings into the lives of those around you. The overflow is not just for you, it's for every soul your life touches. For years, you gave from a place of lack. You shared your last ounce of energy, your final bit of hope, your dwindling faith. Yet heaven took note. Now, the giver becomes the gatherer. The one who watered others will now be watered by divine rain. The desert places of your life are transforming into gardens, and everything that was once barren begins to bloom again. Picture this: a river that once dried up suddenly roars back to life. Fish return, trees along the banks awaken, and the sound of rushing water fills the air. That's your spirit right now, revived, renewed, replenished. The areas that once felt dead are breathing again. Hope flows like water through your soul, and nothing can dam it up again. But remember, overflow is not random. It's strategic. Heaven does not waste increase on closed hands. The reason your blessings are multiplying is because you learned how to pour without resentment. You gave when it hurt. You trusted when it made no sense. You obeyed when others mocked your faith. That obedience has triggered divine abundance. Now you are being called to steward the overflow wisely. Not every hand that reaches deserves a portion, and not every opportunity that shines is golden. Ask heaven for discernment. Overflow is beautiful, but it requires boundaries. Guard your peace while you give. Protect your joy while you pour. Generosity is not depletion, it's partnership. You pour, heaven refills. Your overflow will also attract those who are still in drought. Be patient with them. They may not understand how you reached this place, but your humility will speak louder than your success. Let your abundance be an altar, not a pedestal. Use your resources, both seen and unseen, to lift others. The true purpose of overflow is not accumulation, but restoration. Chosen one. If these words resonate with your spirit, take a quiet moment to express gratitude. Gratitude turns overflow into worship. It keeps your heart soft, your motives pure, your blessings anchored. Whisper a thank you to the one who never let you run dry, even when you thought you would. And as you feel this gratitude, let it move you to action. When you like this message, you're echoing your agreement in faith. When you share it, you become a stream that carries hope to another soul still in drought. When you subscribe, you position yourself to keep receiving fresh water from the well of divine wisdom. And if you feel stirred to donate, to sow into this flow of light, do it as a spiritual seed, not as payment, but as participation. Every seed you plant helps another field bloom. Every gesture of support fuels the mission of spreading heaven's voice to those who feel forgotten. You become a river branch in this movement of renewal. Some give money, others time, others encouragement, but every act counts. Overflow multiplies when it circulates. Think of your giving like sunlight filtering through leaves. Each ray that passes through illuminates countless others. Your support becomes light in another's dark room. It becomes water to another's cracked soil. This is how the kingdom expands, not through grand gestures, but through faithful hearts. So, continue to flow. Chosen one, you are not a reservoir, you are a river. Let blessings move through you freely. Let love, peace, and provision circulate. As you release, you will never run empty. The more you pour, the more heaven refills. This is your divine rhythm, now the sacred dance of overflow. The famine has ended. The river flows again, and this time, it will never run dry. You have authority to declare, chosen one. The words that leave your mouth now carry power. They shape reality, shift atmospheres, and open what was once closed. You are no longer speaking as the wounded, but as the healed. Your voice has been purified by pain and anointed through perseverance. The very tongue that once trembled in fear has been trained by heaven to decree change. You are walking proof that the same mouth that once prayed for survival now prophesies victory. You learned this truth in the crucible of silence. There were seasons when heaven didn't answer, when your words seemed to fall to the ground unheard. But in that silence, heaven was teaching you the weight of language. You were being trained to speak less from emotion and more from revelation. Every word you speak now carries the vibration of divine intention. You've discovered that speaking faith in the face of fear is not denial, it's dominion. Your declarations are no longer hopeful guesses, they are prophetic confirmations. When you say, peace, peace comes. When you say, healing, healing begins. When you say, open, doors respond. You are operating in the spiritual authority granted to those who have walked through fire and remained faithful. The Gospel of Mark, chapter 11, verse 23, declares, "Truly I tell you, if you say to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and do not doubt in your heart, it will be done for you." These words were not poetic exaggeration, they were an introduction to the spiritual law that now governs your life. The mountains before you recognize your voice because they remember the sound of your endurance. They have seen you pray, cry, rise, and return stronger. When you speak now, the earth listens. Authority was not given to you through titles, but through trials. Every obstacle you conquered added another layer of strength to your spirit. You earned spiritual credibility the way warriors earn scars in battle. And now, heaven trusts you with the language of creation. You are not merely praying anymore, you are legislating. You are no longer asking timidly, you are declaring boldly. When you open your mouth, you align with heaven's will, and heaven moves through your words. Angels respond not to emotion, but to command. They recognize divine decree when it flows from faith. That's why, in this new season, you must be intentional with your speech. Your words build worlds now. Speak life only. Speak truth only. Speak from love, not from fear. There will be moments when your declarations are challenged, when circumstances look unchanged, when silence tempts you to retract your faith. Don't. The unseen realm shifts long before the visible does. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean heaven is still. When you decree something, trust the process that follows. The authority of your word is not measured by instant results, but by divine alignment. You will begin to notice this power manifest subtly. A storm in your thoughts will calm when you speak peace aloud. A heaviness around you will lift when you declare joy. Confusion will break when you proclaim clarity. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. Your tongue has been anointed for transformation. Even creation responds differently to you now. The air feels lighter around your prayers. The atmosphere shifts when you worship. You are carrying spiritual voltage that illuminates dark spaces. This is what happens when heaven's authority merges with human obedience. You have become a mouthpiece of divine will. Use this authority not to boast, but to build. Speak blessing over those who wronged you, life over those who envy you, hope over those who despair. The same grace that lifted you is meant to flow through you. Words of healing coming from a healed soul carry unmatched power. You are not called to curse darkness, you are called to light candles. Understand the responsibility that comes with this gift. Every idle word carries weight. What you declare over yourself, over others, over your future, heaven hears it all. So speak wisely. Don't describe problems, declare solutions. Don't repeat pain, release prophecy. Let your language match the identity heaven has assigned to you. When fear rises, speak faith. When doubt whispers, speak destiny. When weakness shows, speak strength. The authority in your words doesn't come from volume, it comes from conviction. You don't need to shout, you need to believe. Even a whisper from a believer carries more force than a scream from fear. And remember, your declarations are not limited by time. When you speak, you plant seeds in eternity. What you decree today may bloom months from now, but bloom it will. The words you speak in alignment with heaven never die. They hover until fulfilled. You have authority. Chosen one authority, not granted by men, but by the Almighty. Use it with humility. Wield it with wisdom. And never forget, your words are instruments of creation. You speak, and heaven moves. You declare, and the world aligns. You are not echoing fate, you are shaping it. Crowned and commissioned, that is who you are now. Chosen one. Heaven has placed something invisible yet undeniable upon you, the seal of divine approval. You have endured the wilderness, passed the tests, and remained faithful when it would have been easier to surrender. Now you stand as one who has been crowned in the Spirit, set apart for a sacred mission that will ripple through generations. You may not feel like royalty, but heaven does not crown based on appearance, it crowns based on endurance. Every moment you stood when you could have fallen, every time you forgave when you were wronged, every act of love done in silence, those were jewels added to your unseen crown. You carry an authority that isn't loud, but it's felt. People might not see it, but they sense it. Heaven has given you a mantle of purpose that rests upon your shoulders, like fire and peace all at once. The Apostle wrote in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness." This scripture is not just a promise for the end of life, it's a prophecy for those who have conquered inner battles and chosen righteousness over revenge, faith over fear, and love over resentment. You, chosen one, wear that crown now. It may not glitter like gold, but it glows in realms unseen. This crowning is also a commissioning. You are not called to rest in comfort, but to rise in purpose. The wilderness was your training ground. The world is now your mission field. You have been equipped not just with knowledge, but with empathy. You understand pain deeply, which is why you will heal deeply. You've walked through darkness and emerged carrying light for others still lost within it. Your voice, your story, your presence, they will be the hands that pull others from despair. Do not underestimate the power of your journey. You are heaven's living testimony. When you walk into rooms, you don't just bring conversation, you bring confirmation that God still transforms. Every word you speak, every act of kindness you offer, every prayer you whisper for another carries royal weight. Your authority is not earthly, it is divine. Understand, however, that with every crown comes responsibility. You are called not to dominate, but to serve. True kings and queens in the kingdom do not sit upon thrones of ego, they kneel upon altars of humility. The greater your calling, the deeper your compassion must run. You were not crowned to be exalted above others. you were crowned to lift them. Your commission may not look like a pulpit or a grand stage. It might be your quiet influence in your family, your strength in your workplace, your calm in a crisis. Wherever you stand becomes holy ground because you stand there. That is your ministry, to radiate heaven's nature in the midst of human noise. Heaven will guide you into divine appointments, moments where your words will heal a stranger. Your presence will calm turmoil. Your prayer will unlock someone else's destiny. Don't ignore those small nudges. They are heaven's assignments disguised as coincidences. You are not just living life anymore, you are walking purpose. Sometimes the weight of this calling may feel heavy. You'll sense the loneliness that comes with leadership, the quiet ache of carrying light in dark places. But remember, the crown you wear is not fragile. It was forged in fire. It can withstand pressure because it was tested under it. Every hardship that tried to break you only strengthened the metal of your mission. Chosen one, you have heaven's endorsement. You do not need validation from crowds. When you walk with the authority of one sent. You carry divine backing. The doors you step through will recognize your anointing before anyone announces it. You are not going where you want, you are going where heaven needs you. So stand tall, but stay humble. Walk boldly, but with compassion. Speak truth, but with love. Your crown is not for show, it's for service. Your commission is not for fame, it's for impact. You are a royal messenger, a bridge between the divine and the broken. Every step you take fulfills a prophecy written long before your birth. And now, to mark this moment of crowning and commissioning, let heaven see your agreement. Type 555 inches, the comments below, a symbol of divine grace multiplied, of transformation fulfilled, of change embraced. When you write those numbers, you are declaring that you accept your calling fully, without hesitation. You are saying, I will carry this crown with honor. I will walk in my mission with humility. Let this be your covenant, your public yes to the divine purpose written over your life. You are crowned. You are commissioned. You are chosen for such a time as this. There is a silence that follows every storm. Chosen one, a stillness that feels almost foreign after the chaos you've survived. It is the sound of heaven resting over your life. You have come through wind and fire, and now the air itself seems gentler. The noise that once filled your mind has quieted. The fears that used to scream have gone mute. You are standing in the holy hush of divine peace. This is not emptiness, it is healing taking form. At first, the silence may feel uncomfortable. You were so used to fighting, to surviving, to watching for the next battle, that peace feels almost suspicious. You keep glancing over your shoulder, waiting for another storm to rise. But none comes. This is not the calm before chaos, it's the calm after victory. You are safe now. The season of struggle has ended, and heaven has covered you with rest like a soft blanket over weary shoulders. It is written in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds. This is exactly what you are feeling, the unexplainable peace that doesn't make sense to the mind but satisfies the soul. You don't need to earn it, chase it, or analyze it. You simply receive it. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of divine assurance. There was a time when every silence scared you because it reminded you of loss. You associated stillness with loneliness, quietness with abandonment. But now, the same silence sings differently. You've matured in spirit enough to know that silence is where heaven speaks most clearly. The storm made too much noise for you to hear it before. But now you can finally discern heaven's whisper. In this sacred stillness, reflection begins. You start to see your journey not through pain, but through gratitude. You realize how every heartbreak taught you discernment, how every delay protected you from destruction, how every ending led to a beginning. You begin to understand that even the suffering had choreography, that nothing was wasted. The silence after the storm is where perspective settles like sunlight after rain, revealing the hidden beauty that chaos tried to conceal. This peace is your reward, but also your renewal. It's heaven's way of reintroducing you to yourself. The person who fought for survival is not the same one who now walks in serenity. You are softer, but stronger, quieter, but deeper. You are learning that not every victory needs to be loud, and not every movement needs to be seen. Some of the greatest miracles happen in stillness, in quiet conversations between your spirit and the divine. This peace also carries instruction. Heaven often sends revelation wrapped in rest. When your mind is still, divine ideas start to flow effortlessly. What once required force now arrives with ease. You begin to receive direction for the next season, not through striving, but through listening. The calm is not idleness, it is incubation. Dreams are forming in this quiet space. Dreams that will soon unfold with purpose and precision. You may find that old desires have faded. The things that once felt urgent no longer seem important. You're drawn to simplicity, to authenticity, to what is real. That is a sign of spiritual maturity. The storm stripped you of excess, and now peace is teaching you contentment. You are realizing that true abundance is not measured by possessions or status, but by tranquility of soul. You are not restless anymore because you have found what cannot be taken, peace that does not depend on circumstances. This is what makes you unshakable. When your inner world is anchored, no external storm can uproot you again. You have become the calm in the chaos, the still point in the spinning world. That's the mark of divine transformation. You no longer wait for peace, you become it. This stillness is not permanent inactivity, it's preparation. Heaven gives rest before new assignments, just as the earth rests between harvests. You are in your sacred pause before the next wave of purpose. Don't rush it. Let the silence do its work. Let it refill your strength, sharpen your discernment, and heal the unseen fractures left by the storm. During this time, learn to enjoy the ordinary again, the sound of your own breath, the warmth of morning light, the rhythm of rain. These are the subtle ways heaven reminds you that you are alive, protected, and loved. This is not just peace, it is restoration. It's your soul remembering joy without effort. And in this peace, gratitude deepens. You find yourself thanking God not only for deliverance but for the process that led to it. You begin to bless the storm that once terrified you, because now you see it wasn't sent to destroy you, but to wash away what could not go with you. The silence after the storm reveals that everything that broke was meant to break, and everything that remained was meant to last. You stand now as living evidence that peace is possible after pain. You are not haunted by your past anymore, you are held by grace. What once made you tremble now makes you testify. What once hurt now heals others, through your words, your presence, your very being. So rest. Chosen one, breathe freely. The silence you stand in is not the echo of emptiness, it's the melody of completion. You have crossed the battlefield and reached the garden. You have walked through fire and emerged gold. The winds have ceased. The rain has stopped. And the voice of heaven whispers, "Be still." This is your peace. It's not borrowed. It's not temporary. It's eternal, and it belongs to you now. The vision expands. Chosen one, what once seemed like a small, flickering purpose within your heart has now become a roaring fire of direction and clarity. Heaven is stretching your understanding of what's possible. You are no longer confined to the limits you once accepted. The walls around your destiny have fallen, and a vast horizon unfolds before you, limitless, luminous, and waiting for your steps. There was a time when you could only see a few inches ahead. The fog of pain and uncertainty clouded your perception. You lived day to day, unsure whether the light at the end of the tunnel was deliverance or another illusion. But that fog has lifted. Your eyes have been anointed to see with spiritual precision, the same way dawn reveals what the night concealed. Revelation is now unveiling the blueprint of your calling. You begin to realize that your life was never just about survival. It was about strategy. Every hardship was preparing you to lead, to teach, to awaken others. Heaven didn't allow your experiences to end in pain. It repurposed them into wisdom. Now, the very story that once embarrassed you will become the testimony that liberates others. You were not chosen to merely overcome, you were chosen to guide. It is written in the ancient book of Habakkuk. Chapter 2, verse 2, "Write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it." These words echo through your spirit now. The time for hidden preparation has ended. The time for clear articulation has come. You are no longer meant to carry your vision in silence. You are meant to express it boldly. Write it. Speak it. Build it. What once existed only in your prayers is now ready to take form in the world. Heaven is calling you to enlarge your territory, not through force, but through faith. Your influence will begin to stretch beyond your immediate circle. You will find your words traveling further, your actions inspiring more deeply, your story touching hearts you may never meet. This is not coincidence, it is expansion by divine design. You are becoming a conduit of awakening, a vessel through which heaven's wisdom flows. This expansion does not come without pressure. Growth always stretches what was comfortable. You may feel the tension between the old rhythm and the new tempo of grace. The life you knew cannot contain what you are becoming. But remember, expansion is not destruction, it's transition. The container must break for the oil to pour freely. Do not fear the breaking, it's how you grow. In this season, heaven will download visions, strategies, and assignments that will feel larger than your current capacity. That's intentional. You were never meant to complete them by human effort alone. Heaven will send the right people, the right timing, and the right resources. Your task is simply to write what you see and act on what you know. When you move, heaven multiplies. You might feel unqualified for what's ahead. That's natural. Every visionary does. Moses doubted his speech. David doubted his stature. Esther doubted her timing, but all of them were proven right by obedience, not confidence. What qualifies you is not perfection but surrender. Heaven isn't asking if you're ready. Heaven is asking if you're willing. And you are. You have been prepared through fire, softened through mercy, and sharpened through trial. The lessons you've gathered are not random. They are tools for your next chapter. You are entering a space where your presence alone will unlock possibilities for others. You won't just speak inspiration, you will embody it. Understand, this expansion doesn't mean fame. It means impact. It means using what you've been given to bring light into corners the world forgot. It might manifest as a movement, a message, a mission, or even a single act that shifts generations. Heaven doesn't measure success by numbers, but by obedience. One act of faith can change eternity. You will find divine opportunities appearing where you least expect them. Conversations that start casually will turn prophetic. Encounters that seem random will be orchestrated. Each one is a stepping stone in your expanded path. The key is awareness. Recognize divine patterns in ordinary moments. The vision doesn't always arrive in thunder. Sometimes it comes quietly, in the still voice that says, "This is the way, walk in it." Your role now is to remain open yet grounded. Don't let excitement rush you, and don't let fear freeze you. Expansion requires balance. Heaven enlarges those who can hold blessing without losing humility. You are being trusted with influence, not to elevate yourself, but to elevate others. Every opportunity must become an altar. Every platform a place of worship. As your vision expands, you will notice your prayers changing. They'll sound less like petitions and more like partnerships. You'll stop asking, "God, can you?" and start declaring, "God, let's." That shift marks maturity. It's no longer you begging heaven to move. It's heaven inviting you to co-create. So stand tall, chosen one, and lift your eyes. The field before you is vast, but heaven will guide your steps. You will write the vision clearly, and those meant to run with it will appear at the right time. What once was small will multiply. What once was hidden will emerge, and what once seemed impossible will soon feel natural. The vision expands not to overwhelm you, but to reveal how limitless you truly are in divine partnership. You are not dreaming too big. You are finally dreaming at heaven's scale. You now carry the mantle of restoration. Chosen one, you have been entrusted with the same healing you once begged for. Heaven did not pull you out of your pain just to leave you standing in victory. It sent you back as a restorer, as one who can reach into broken places and bring life again. You are a living remedy, an answered prayer walking in human form. Every scar on your spirit now glows with purpose. You are proof that what breaks can be rebuilt, that what dies can rise again. You were once the one searching for light. Now you have become the torch that guides others. The compassion you carry was born in the ashes of your own suffering. You understand the language of the hurting because you once spoke it fluently. That is why heaven trusts you to touch the wounded. You know how to hold them without judgment. In the words written by the psalmist David, Psalm chapter 23, verse 3, "He restores my soul and gently leads me in righteous paths for his name and for his glory alone." This restoration is not just inward, it is contagious. The peace within you now ripples outward, awakening hope in everyone you meet. You are not merely healed, you are healing itself in motion. You have stepped into a sacred exchange, where once you asked, "Why me?" you now ask, "Who can I help?" Your story has become a bridge between despair and deliverance. The same God who rebuilt you is now using your hands, your words, your presence to rebuild others. Restoration is flowing through you like a quiet river, reviving everything it touches. But remember, rivers do not flow for themselves. They carry life outward to fields, to gardens, to thirsty ground. You are that river. Your encouragement becomes someone else's rainfall. Your testimony becomes someone else's reason to keep going. Don't underestimate the power of your small kindnesses, the gentle message, the quiet prayer, the listening ear. Heaven multiplies every act done in love. Think of restoration like tending a garden. There are people in your life whose soil has gone dry, whose hearts have hardened from years of disappointment. Your presence, your patience, your peace, it softens the ground. You don't need to preach loudly, you just need to water faithfully. Even a single drop of grace can awaken a forgotten seed. You are not required to fix everyone, only to be available. Restoration begins not with answers, but with presence. When you show up with compassion, heaven shows up with transformation. The Spirit will work through your gentleness far more than through your striving. Sometimes your silence will heal more deeply than your words. You will begin to notice that people are drawn to you, not for what you have, but for how you make them feel safe, seen, understood. That's because your spirit now carries rest. You've walked through storms, so you radiate calm. You've known hunger, so you carry generosity. You've known loneliness, so you create belonging. You are not just restored, you are restorative. And in this sacred work of mending others, heaven will continue to mend you. Every time you help another soul stand, your own strength deepens. Restoration is a cycle. The more you give it, the more you receive it. This is how heaven keeps your cup overflowing without effort. Chosen one. If this word resonates within you, if you feel the quiet confirmation that this mantle rests upon your shoulders, then take a moment to breathe it in. Let gratitude rise, because you are now part of heaven's rebuilding crew. And as this message flows through you, allow it to flow further. When you like this message, you are affirming your agreement with it. You are saying, I receive this restoration. When you share it, you become a conduit, extending the river beyond yourself so it can water another dry place. When you subscribe, you anchor yourself to a stream of continual revelation, ensuring that the voice of heaven keeps meeting you where you are. And if your spirit feels led to donate, to sow into this ministry of light, know that your seed becomes more than support. It becomes restoration for others. Every act of giving becomes like planting trees beside rivers, offering shade, fruit, and rest to souls who are still wandering. You're not just giving, you're rebuilding lives with invisible bricks of kindness. When you engage, when you support, when you participate, you're helping spread restoration further than your own reach. You're ensuring that hope doesn't stop with you, that the message continues to find those who still sit in darkness, waiting for dawn. Think of this whole journey like a cathedral rising from ruins. Each person who gives, who shares, who believes, lays another stone in the foundation. And slowly, heaven's light fills the space where once there was only silence and debris. You are not alone in this work. Together, we are the restoration living temples of renewal, carriers of the divine blueprint, builders of hope. Your crown may be invisible, but your impact will not be. Heaven watches and whispers, "Well done, restorer. You have been healed to heal. You have been rebuilt to build. You are the living proof that no ruin is beyond redemption. Let your life continue the work of resurrection, one word, one act, one soul at a time. The covenant of no return has been written over your life. Chosen one, heaven has sealed your victory in ink that cannot fade. You are not merely healed, you are anchored. You will not revisit the darkness you once escaped, nor will you relive the pain you once thought endless. This time, it is finished for real. The door to your old suffering is not just closed, it has been welded shut by divine decree. For so long, you lived in cycles that felt unbreakable. You would climb toward peace, only to fall back into confusion. You'd glimpse freedom, only to feel chains tighten again. But something has shifted permanently. The lesson has been learned, the season completed, the spiritual document signed. Heaven has declared your deliverance final. There's a divine law at work now. What has been redeemed cannot be re-enslaved. The enemy that once pursued you has no jurisdiction anymore. You are no longer standing at the edge of breakthrough, you are living in it. You don't have to look over your shoulder, wondering if the past will catch up. The past has lost your scent. The mistakes that once defined you are now dissolved into mercy's sea, and mercy never gives them back. The psalmist declares in the sacred text of Psalm 138, verse 8, "The Lord himself will perfect all that concerns me. His faithful love endures forever." Strong and sure. This is the essence of your covenant. It is the assurance that what God begins, he finishes. The same power that delivered you will sustain you. The transformation you experienced was not temporary, it was eternal. You are not in danger of losing what was divinely secured. The covenant of no return means that you have become too aware to go back, too enlightened to re-enter the shadows. Your spirit recognizes false peace now. You can sense deception before it even speaks. The same traps that once caught you have been exposed, dismantled, and burned away. You no longer belong to the old patterns because the old you doesn't exist anymore. You've outgrown that version of yourself, and there's no shrinking back into it. You might still see remnants of the past trying to whisper, trying to provoke nostalgia, trying to remind you of who you were. But nostalgia is not an invitation, it's a test. The voice that says go back is only echoing from behind a closed door. You owe no response to ghosts. When heaven delivers, it also deletes. The version of your life that was ruled by fear, scarcity, and shame has been erased from the timeline of your destiny. Now you live in the safety of divine progression. Even when challenges arise, they don't pull you backward, they push you deeper into wisdom. Pain doesn't define you anymore, it refines you. Conflict doesn't derail you, it directs you. You've been recalibrated. The compass of your soul always points toward peace now, and peace never leads backward. The covenant of no return also comes with divine reinforcement. Every angel that once fought to free you now guards your progress. Every lesson you learned stands as a wall between you and regression. Heaven has built boundaries you don't even see, moments of divine interference that prevent you from walking into old traps. When something doesn't work out now, it's not rejection, it's redirection. Every no is heaven keeping you safe. Understand this. Chosen, One spiritual maturity is not about never facing challenges, it's about never repeating them. You will still grow, still be stretched, but you will never again be bound by the same chains. The energy that once drained you now fuels your discernment. The pain that once silenced you now amplifies your authority. You are no longer a survivor of cycles, you are a steward of peace. This covenant also affects how you move forward. You no longer chase closure because you have found completion. You no longer seek validation because your worth is established. You no longer fear loss because you understand divine substitution. Whatever leaves your life, make space for something holy. Nothing that departs is meant to return unless heaven sends it renewed. This is the stability you prayed for. You are no longer swinging between extremes, no longer tossed by emotion. You have entered equilibrium, the sacred middle, where faith governs feeling. Even your silence carries authority now, because it's the silence of someone who has already won. So rest in this covenant. Live freely within its safety. You are sealed in grace, wrapped in divine permanence. What once wounded you can no longer reach you. What once chained you can no longer claim you. You walk under an unbreakable vow, one written by the same hand that wrote creation into being. You will never face that again. Not because of luck, not because of strength, but because of covenant. The matter is settled, the case closed, the circle complete. From this point on, your story moves only forward, ever upward, ever brighter. Glory unveiled, forever chosen. That is where you now stand. Chosen one on the threshold between what was and what is eternal. You are no longer defined by struggle, but by radiance. The invisible crown placed upon your spirit now shines for all of heaven to see. You have walked through the valley, stood upon the mountain, and discovered that the light you were searching for was never above you, it was always within you. This is the unveiling, the moment heaven reveals who you've become. The covering that once concealed your potential has been lifted. Every hidden strength, every buried dream, every quiet virtue that waited in the shadows now steps forward. The world is about to see what heaven has known all along, that you were destined for glory. Not because of perfection, but because of perseverance. It is written in the second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 18. And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory. You are living this scripture. Transformation is no longer a process happening to you, it is a power flowing through you. The glory resting on your life is not borrowed, it is born from your alignment with divine purpose. When you look at yourself now, you may still see scars, but heaven sees signatures. Every mark of pain has become a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your becoming. You are the living artwork of mercy and resilience. Glory does not erase what you've endured, it redeems it. It turns every fracture into a window for light. What once symbolized weakness now becomes evidence of grace. This unveiling is gentle, not boastful. True glory doesn't shout, it shines. It doesn't demand attention, it naturally draws it. You will notice people looking to you for wisdom, comfort, or strength without understanding why. It's not charisma, it's the reflection of divine light that now emanates from your being. Heaven has inscribed something eternal upon you, and creation recognizes it instinctively. You have been transformed into a vessel of presence. When you walk into a room, peace follows. When you speak, clarity settles. When you pray, things move. This is not because of position or power, it's because of purity. You've allowed heaven to refine you until your life itself became a mirror reflecting the divine image. The unveiled glory you carry now is not temporary. It grows brighter with each act of obedience. Glory, in its truest form, is not about elevation, but illumination. It's the light that exposes truth and dissolves fear. It's the glow of someone who has forgiven completely, who loves freely, who walks humbly yet confidently. You have entered that dimension. You no longer chase glory, you embody it. It rests on your thoughts, your words, your silence, your compassion. You've become the message that you once needed to hear. This unveiling also comes with peace, the kind that does not waver when circumstances shift. You no longer measure God's presence by comfort, but by consistency. You've learned that glory isn't always loud, it often hides in simplicity, in the quiet rhythms of grace. It is there when you breathe deeply and realize you're finally free, when you smile without effort, when you rest without guilt. Look at how far you've come. Once you doubted your worth, now you walk in purpose. Once you begged for signs, now you are a sign. Once you felt forgotten, now you know you were chosen. The metamorphosis is complete. You are not merely surviving in light, you are radiating it. Do not shrink from this transformation. Some will not understand the glow around you. Some will misinterpret your peace as pride, your boundaries as distance, your wisdom as mystery. Let them. You do not owe explanations for divine evolution. Glory has its own language, and only those who walk with light can hear it. Heaven delights in you now, not because you've done everything perfectly, but because you stayed. You stayed through the dark nights, through confusion, through loss, through refining, and for that endurance, you were clothed in majesty. Glory is not a reward, it's the natural expression of a spirit fully surrendered. You have entered permanence now. You will continue to grow, but never backward. The light upon you will deepen, but never dim. You are sealed in radiance, anchored in purpose, and surrounded by divine favor that cannot be revoked. The heavens sing over you, and the earth responds with open doors and aligned timing. This is your forever identity, chosen, redeemed, radiant. You were once the wounded one, now you are the wonder. You were once the broken vessel, now you are the channel of glory. And as you walk onward, remember this truth. Glory unveiled is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning of eternal brilliance. You are forever chosen, forever shining, forever becoming chosen one. You have reached the end of this divine journey, but in truth, endings are only beginnings wearing new names. You have walked through revelation, healing, transformation, and glory. Every word you've read was not coincidence, it was confirmation. Heaven has spoken, and your spirit has listened. You have crossed the threshold of who you were and stepped fully into who you are meant to be. This is your story now, one of unshakable faith, of peace that defies understanding, of destiny fulfilled. You have overcome, and you will never face that pain again. The old has passed away, and all things have been made new. Heaven watches with pride as you stand in your light, crowned, chosen, unstoppable. Now, let that light ripple outward. The message that healed you can heal others. The words that lifted you can lift someone still fighting their storm. When you like this message, you're not just clicking a button, you're echoing agreement in the spiritual realm. When you share it, you're extending the same grace that found you. And when you subscribe, you're choosing to remain connected to a stream of revelation that will keep your faith nourished and your spirit strong. If something in these words has touched your soul, take a moment to comment below. Share what spoke to you, what changed within you, or simply declare your gratitude. Your words might be the sign someone else is praying for tonight. This is not farewell, it is continuation. The light within you is now part of a greater chorus of chosen ones rising across the earth. Together, we carry heaven's sound into a weary world. Walk forward in glory. Shine. Testify. And remember, you are forever chosen.